Raiders Chargers matchup preview with special guest Jake the Snake of the Snake Sports Talk Show. It's all going down next right here on Hammers.House.
The United States are strongly encouraged to shelter in place to avoid being attacked or taken hostage. To shelter in place, take the following precautions. Close all windows and doors, and all lights.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the official, the original, the only house for Las Vegas Raiders news, rumors, updates, live streams, and reactions. Welcome to Hammers House. Hope everybody's having a great Wednesday night wherever you guys are at. Those coming on in, if you don't know the routine, I'm going to learn you. Break them thumbs, hit them subs, smash the bell. We do have a special guest backstage. He covers the Chargers, the Oakland A's, and the Las Vegas Golden Knights on his YouTube channel. Give it up for my brother, Jake the Snake Silva of the Snake Sports Talk Show. What's good, brother?
What's good, my man? It's glad to be back up on here and ready for Act 2 in this matchup, man. It's always so good when we have to face you guys twice a year.
Yeah, but you know what happened last year when we faced you in round 2?
Yeah, well, it's a new year, buddy.
You guys know earlier we brought out the injury report. We'll bring it up again now that I do have a Charger in the building. After today's concluded practice, we have Andrew Billings with a fibula injury. He was limited. Brandon Bolden, calf. He was limited. Linebacker Darian Butler, elbow, full participant. Derek Carr, back, full. Deron Harmon, shoulder. He was a full participant. Jesper Horsted, concussion. He did not participate. Jacobs, calf injury. He's going to be getting treatment the entire week all the way up until game day. Colton Miller, shoulder. He was limited. Kendall Vickers, back, limited. For the Chargers, you had Nasir Adderley with a thumb injury. He was limited. Bryce Callahan, groin. He didn't participate. Michael Davis, knee, full participant. Derwin James, hip, did not participate. Corey Lindsley, concussion, didn't participate. Khalil Mack, non-injury related rest. He didn't participate. Kenneth Murray Jr., wrist, full participant. Trey Pipkins, the third, their tackle, knee, did not participate. Offensive lineman Jamari Sawyer, knee, full participant. And wide receiver Mike Williams, ankle, did not participate. So a lot of banged up guys on your side. What's going on?
I think part of it is that, yeah, like the injury bug definitely is hitting us this year. But as far as with what we can see right now with where the season has been kind of playing, the team itself, it's been next man up. A lot of the guys have definitely stepped up in massive ways. It's good to, at the very least, have Jamari Sawyer being a full participant. Depending on what the status will be for Trey Pipkins. I know they had one other tackle, and it's not Storm Norton, because I know that they have not planned to put him out there up on the field, especially with the disaster that he had last season. But this team has just been fighting and fighting through injuries. I know the biggest one, obviously, with Mike Williams not being a full participant today. But it's quite possible that he may end up getting into limited practice. I do kind of see him being at least a game time decision for the Chargers. But at the very least, it is so good to see, Keenan Allen finally hit. And for him to be here at at the very least in the crucial part of the season, I really have been ecstatic about it. But we have really been seeing production on other levels. DeAndre Carter has been stepping up in a massive way. The other part too, Josh Palmer has stepped up, but it's really ultimately coming down to smart coaching decisions. Justin Herbert, you got to allow him to be the game manager in all those scenarios. Last week against the Arizona Cardinals, I'm really surprised that that game even went as close as it did, especially when you're talking about an atrocious offensive line in Arizona and their defense just looked suspect. But to me, I mean, Arizona looks like an absolute mess. But the fact that Justin Herbert, in seconds left in the clock in the fourth quarter, was able to come away with the touchdown, but finally, as I've been trying to find out what they were going to do in that scenario, and we know it bit us in the ass last year, but the fact that finally Brandon Staley is understanding that when you have a crucial situation that you need to execute, you go for two. And he finally ended up going with his gut, and Gerald Everett succeeded. So to me, knowing against against the Raiders in a division rivalry like this again, we know with what last year in the second time that we ended up seeing each other, how tough yet how entertaining that game itself was on a Sunday night, last game, and it was all or nothing. But that game itself, when you score in final seconds of the fourth quarter, you've weakened now the opposing defense, and you've got them all in their heads. You got them all in their heads, and they're right now, their emotions have crashed down. And what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to act instinctively and go for the kill and go for two. Like that's just smart coaching, in my opinion, when it comes to football situations. But that's where I think finally the Chargers are finding that. But it will be interesting to see how they recover after the first time meeting each other in week one after the victory for the Chargers.
Said it before, said it throughout the season. The first 4 games for the Raiders, that 53-man roster, that was legitimately their preseason because a lot of them did not play in the regular preseason. So it was a small sample. I told people I wasn't giving a prediction on our overall record until I saw the first 4 games. And look, nobody expected us to be where we're at right now. A lot of people, including myself, put the cart ahead of the horse, and we're sitting at 4-7, coming off of back-to-back wins in OT. Great fucking ways to get the wins, most definitely. Again, defense this past weekend, they stepped up, still gave up a lot of points, but the interior D-line is finally awake and alive, and I'm curious to see what they can do against the Chargers offensive line. Let's go into the rankings real quickly as we do this matchup preview for you guys. And for those that are coming on in, if you haven't already, hit that like button. First timers in here, don't let it be your last. Hit the subscribe button. And also, if you're an Oakland A's fan, if you're a Golden Knights fan, obviously you're in here. You're most likely not a Chargers fan. But please subscribe to my brother on the Snake Sports Talk Show on YouTube. And let's get right into it with the team rankings to start this off. Team offense, the Raiders at this point are ranked 7th in the league. The Chargers are ranked 14th. Rush offense will rank 13th. The Chargers are ranked 30th. Pass offense will ranked 8th. They're ranked 6th. Points per game will rank 10th. They're ranked 13th. Third down offense will rank 21st. They're ranked 9th. Fourth down efficiency will rank 7th. They're ranked 24th. Red zone offense will rank 25th. They're ranked 17th. Going on to the defensive side of the ball, total defense will rank 26th. They're ranked 25th. So fairly even on the defensive side of the ball. Rush defense will rank 17th. They're ranked 28th. Pass defense ranked 26th. They're ranked 18th. Points per game, we're ranked 26th. They're ranked 29th. Third down defense, we're ranked 28th. They're ranked 26th. Fourth down defense, we're ranked 9th. They're tied for 7th. Red zone defense, we're ranked 31st. They're tied for 13th. Your overall individual leaders, passing yards, Derek Carr, 2730 to Justin Herbert's 3004. Completion percentage, 63% for Derek Carr, 67.4 for Justin Herbert, sorry. Passing touchdowns, Carr has 18, Herbert has 19, carries 216 for Jacobs, 128 for Eckler. Rushing yards, 1,159 for Jacobs, 554 for Eckler. Rushing touchdowns, 9 for Jacobs, 7 for Eckler. Reception, 71 for Devontae Adams, Austin Eckler. That's just sad. Your running back has the most receptions at 80. Receiving yards, Devontae Adams is a yard shy from 1,000 at 999. Joshua Palmer with receiving yards, 552. Receiving touchdowns, Tay with 10. Austin Eckler with 5. Devon Diablo, who is still on IR, he leads the team in tackles with 74. Derwin James with 100. Jesus. Sacks, you have Mad Max with 10.5. Khalil Mack with 7. Interceptions, Deron Harmon with 2. And Bryce Callahan with 2. So defensively, it's a very evenly matched defenses.
Yeah.
It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. Bosa's done, right?
Bosa is actually not done.
Wait, what?
He literally came out on his social media and he addressed to all the Charger fans that he knows with his absence being long gone for quite a while, that it really has hurt parts of the team. But he did say that I'm making a strong comeback. Hang in there, bolt up. That's literally what he said on his own social media on his story. So there is high hopes that he will definitely be back at least late in this season. And you know what? Couldn't have asked for a better timing than that, especially when you're in crucial positions to making it into the playoffs. And you got to have all your best guys back. And don't forget too, because Rayshawn Slater is not done. He's not done for the season yet either. So at some point, once he's back from the ruptured bicep, that we can definitely see him at least some point late in the season. But it's all a recovery process, and it's all about making sure that they recover the best way possible. Um, but one thing that I will tell you is that, looking at it, this is also a team that doesn't like to turn over the football either. Looking at their turnovers, because seeing the Raiders turnover differential is -1, and the Chargers turnover differential is +3. So that is going to tell you whether or not, if depending on how Derek Carr really does distribute the football. And I know a lot of people have been, off and on about Derek Carr. And I mean, to be honest, and people, a lot of Raider fans can say whatever that they want to, but I even announced up on my show that as much as I really do like Derek Carr as a quarterback and as a franchise quarterback who understands this culture and going through 6 coaches in 9 years, I don't think he'll return to the silver and black this next year. It
Wow.
it's because of the fact that this is a hard knock culture. It really is. And you gotta be tougher than everyone in that locker room, and you've gotta be able to, you gotta be able to gain all the respect, and you gotta be able to gain a lot of the supports. Some people have gained supports for Derek Carr. Some of them, they've just been like, they've been throwing him under the bus. I don't think it's fair on Derek Carr's end because of the fact of, like, living here in Vegas, he loves the experience. And I've said it. He is meant for this. But it just depends on whether or not the Raiders do stick with him or they move on and they find their next quarterback. But it's going to determine, especially with matchups like this, because I love watching these types of AFC West division rival matchups and how much that the Raiders have given it to the Chargers and how the Chargers have been able to fire back. But it'll be interesting to see how that offense really does work. I know my biggest concern is, I mean, my God, James Conner looked like an absolute elite running back last week against that Chargers D line. This defensive line still has not been fixed. And that's where I'm worried of the fact of what Josh Jacobs could possibly do on the ground. I think the game plan too for what the Raiders may do is that they see where this defensive line is sitting, and they're going to try to run the ground and pound game. But at the same time, they're going to try to distribute the football any way that they can with, whether it's Derek Carr throwing to Devontae Adams, or maybe he distributes it to other receivers to step up as well. But the biggest thing is seeing the secondaries, because knowing who you're going to have one-on-one on matchups, you're probably going to have, um, Devontae Adams and Asante Samuel Jr. match up. And then the rest of it, you've got Bryce Callahan and you've got Derwin James in that backfield. So to me, Derek Carr has to make the right throws, because one mistake is, like we said, when it comes to the turnover differential, it could be costly in the end. But um but I think in this game too, this is also going to prove up, because of course the next week the Chargers got flexed once again to a Sunday night football game against the Miami Dolphins and against Tua Tagovailoa, just to help to prove the little argument that our good friend Emmanuel Acho likes to talk about, and really talk bad about our quote unquote social media quarterback. So I'm really excited to see what that's going to look like next week. But I think this will be interesting. I think this is a well even matched up game. The Raiders are, I think, in my opinion, they're playing two roles. They're either playing spoiler or they're trying to play the hot hand, because them already being 2 wins in a row, they're trying to get something cooking. And even I said, when is this going to start firing up? Because you already have a brand new coach, you have a brand new staff, and you got to be able to make this work. Offensive line, it may need a little bit of help, but the defense for sure needs all the help that they can get. But I love Max Crosby, and I do love a couple pieces, even Denzel Perryman, a former Charger, seeing him thrive and seeing him play well for the Silver and Black. I'm happy for him. But it'll be interesting to see how both teams match up. Both defenses look suspect, but it's all going to come down to how each offense really produces. But I like this. So
I'm very much intrigued to see what Tillery does in pretty much a revenge game against his former team and the Chargers. They waived him a couple of weeks ago. We claimed him off of waivers. They reduced his play time this year for whatever reasons. He wanted to be traded. There were teams that were interested. The Raiders were one of those teams. The Chargers were like, no. And then they decided to waive him, and we still got him one way or another. He's only been here 2 weeks. I know he's got to learn the system, so I understand they had him rotating in here and there. I'm happy with what I've seen out of him so far, and just I'm excited to see what he can do going into this matchup this coming Sunday.
yeah, absolutely. That's why I'm like, especially with what the Chargers have been dealing with injury issues and inconsistencies when it comes to, and this is the funny thing. You were surprised of Austin Eckler having that many receptions out of all the other wide receivers for the Chargers. I'm not, because the fact of the matter is that the offensive coordinator, Joe Lombardi, like, the problem is that he likes to play a lot of this dink and dunk stuff. Well, the fact of the matter is, this league is not always built like that. You're not seeing Kansas City doing this. You're not even seeing Miami, let alone, Mike White surprised us all with the Jets. And they're playing.
No.
They're playing.
He didn't surprise a lot of us, because a lot of us watched him last year with what he did.
Yeah.
We had this little Jets troll in the live earlier, and not a smart move to come into the Lions den that is the black hole and try to talk shit. The Jets, we all know, equals QB purgatory.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of developing to be a legit quarterback, and a solid one at that in the NFL, Zach Wilson's out there banging moms. So continue to do that and ride the bench. Nobody's going to miss you once you're gone.
Yeah, and that's why I'm like, with them succeeding in but again, I love the offensive weapons that the Jets have been putting together. That's why I'm like, all right, you can produce this way. So you're seeing a lot of offenses and how that they're able to distribute the football. And that's one of the reasons that when it comes to, Joe Lombardi, you have a franchise quarterback in Justin Herbert, and he clearly can throw the deep ball. He can clearly throw it into spaces that not a whole lot of quarterbacks can do. Like, there's tight windows, but yet he's able to sneak the football in pretty easily. So it's like he makes easy and then yet challenging throws look easy all together. So I just think that, it's probably going to be a mixed balance, if it may not be 60-40 passing for the Chargers, because majority of the time we know how this D line might shape up for the Raiders, because there are a couple of guys that, like we said, when the season started, their jobs were going to be there up on the line, but it was also going to determine too how they're going to stack themselves up front. Because Austin Eckler, even if you shut him down on the run, he's still going to be a threat when it comes to yards after catch. And that's where I think the Raiders really have to prepare for a matchup like that. Um, but depending on it, I know Mike Williams being out, um, it'll be game time decision for him. But I think at the end of the day, it's good to at least have a veteran receiver back to at the very least get this flow rolling for this offense, because that's what Justin Herbert needs. He's already dealt with, the last couple of weeks without his star wide receivers, and he's been trying every single thing possible to keep the team in the game. I mean, think about it. He was already out both of his star receivers against San Francisco, and they lost close. Like, that's one of the things that you kind of see, that there is heart in this team, but it has to come from smart coaching decisions, smart situational play, and trust every one of your pieces. And so that's where I'm like, I think this will be a really, really good one, but I think it's going to be one of those close up matchups because, of course, you never really want to play easy against the Raiders.
Just thinking about it now, as we're talking about Eckler, like the one thing that I most definitely can say, and I don't know who it is that's going to be really covering out there, because we've had our struggles with Jayon Brown in coverage this year when it was a guy that we brought here because that's what he was good at as a linebacker, was being a covering linebacker.
Yep.
But we need to have somebody that consistently reads Austin Eckler out of the backfield every single down on Sunday, whether he's swinging out for a pass, whether it's a screen, whatever the case may be. But there's got to be somebody there front and center reading them. If it's in the middle, obviously it's going to be Perryman. Hopefully Perryman takes his head off, but we shall see. We know that there have been times over as far back as last season, you have these running backs, these elite running backs that we have faced, and we have shut down the run significantly. Rookie Kenneth Walker, the second round pick out of Michigan State. He was the guy we were supposed to keep an eye on. He came in for Rashad Penny the middle of October after Rashad Penny broke his leg. He had rushed for 587 yards going into the game, and we did a phenomenal job in stopping him. He had the one touchdown, but they did a really good job shutting him down this past week.
Yeah, and what a surprise for a rookie like that. The fact that he's literally been walking all over a lot of the teams in the NFC, but to seeing the Raiders, and again, this was the crazy thing, because if I had lost that pick with the Raiders against Seattle, that would have just been terrible. And so I was just like, I don't even know if the Raiders could possibly pull this off, but yet they were able to in overtime, and I was very impressed. And then in the end, Josh Jacobs' open hole was able to bring it home. I mean, yeah, that had to have been really stressful for any football fan, but for Josh Jacobs to literally get the job done and win the game,
86 yards, bro.
that was great.
86.
That was
Man,
great.
I lost my shit. Shout out to Matthew Lincoln, who's watching from Facebook. We are on a bunch of social media platforms tonight. We're on Twitter. We're on Twitch. We're on both Facebook accounts. We're on YouTube. If you guys are in any of the platforms other than Facebook, come on over to YouTube. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Got a couple of new subscribers during the live when we did the presser today. We are on that road to 5K. So please come over to YouTube and hit that subscribe button. Shout out to Matthew Lincoln. How you feel about us being predicted to go on 6-game winning streak? I'm I said this during the last live. We talked about it because this is ESPN again. We win 2 games. Now all of a sudden everybody's on our sack again. And this is how I feel about ESPN and their predictions of us going on a 6-game winning streak.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that'll be interesting. I
I'm
mean,
done. Like I don't care to hear what the fuck that they think, what they predict. I'm just done, man. Um, at the same time, I've been saying this. We just take we take these games 1 week at a time, and that's it at this point. Moving forward, one game at a time. I'm not sitting here giving predictions or prediction scores. I'm going to tell you what I see. I'm going to give you numbers and see what the possibilities are once the clock strikes 0 in the fourth quarter.
oh, yeah, and
Damn, shout out to Thor. Let's beat the Chokers like last year. They're the redheaded stepchild of the AFC West.
oh, jeez.
Damn, bro.
Yeah,
Shout out to Thor. Yee.
they constantly have to remind us all the time, man. But again, I mean, regardless of just the franchise's history, I mean, I'm really curious to see how the rest of the stretch is going to be for the Chargers moving forward because, um, we come off of a close win against Arizona, which I was really, like I said, I can't even believe that it really ended up that close. I was really hoping that they would have not torched them, but at the same time, I would have expected maybe like at least a 10-point score. But unfortunately, that was not going to be the case for the Chargers. And but this is what's fun though, because this is the fun stretch of how the season's really going to pan out for these guys. And the fact that we have this game with the Raiders this week, and then the next few weeks we have the Dolphins, Titans, Colts, Rams, and Broncos. So it's not like this is literally a walk in the park. This is going to be one of those ones that's going to determine how bad do we really want to be in the playoffs. So I don't know. I mean,
You so like the rest of your games are all AFC games, right?
oh yeah. Well, except for the Rams.
All right. So you have majority of your remaining games are AFC games. Your current record in the conference right now is at 4-3.
Mhm.
We're sitting there at 3-5 right now with majority of the games. No, majority of the games -2 because we have the Chargers. Then we go into the NFC against the Rams,
Yep.
the Steelers. I'm sorry, the Patriots, the Steelers, the Niners, and the Chiefs. So I don't know how much that's the next thing. We fucked up in regards to the AFC games, and I said the conference games were the most crucial ones. I don't know if we really catch up or pick up ground in regards to our conference record. Um, I know a lot of people think that we can go on this streak and finish out at 10-7. I, it's so fucking hard to say, and this is exactly why I say
Mhm.
a week by week basis. It's a week by week thing right now with every matchup that we have, but again, I think this is going to be a very good matchup. I'm surprised they didn't try to make, especially after the 2-game winning streak today, and try to flex this. But we shall see. We shall see.
Yeah, and looking at, the Raiders schedule, I can tell you that like depending on what the outcome is going to be in this matchup itself, because like I said, it's not going to come easy. It's going to be one of those ones that it's just going to be all 4 quarters where both teams are really going to scrap and it's going to determine who the victor will be. But I can tell you, I mean, you got the Rams and the Steelers, honestly, I can truthfully see those as I can see those being potentially wins, but I think the toughest matchups is definitely going to be New England, San Francisco, and Kansas City. Those are the
Yeah.
only 3 right there in that stretch that I mean, I would probably look at it as in those 5 games, depending on how this runs, that could be potentially 3-2. It could be potentially 3-2. but depending on how they run the rest of the offense and how they really run the rest of the team, it's a possibility. I mean, I said it myself when we got to this close in this in these matchups because in the remaining 6, I see the Chargers either to go 4-2 or 3-3 because these tough matchups we have is first of all, you've got Miami and we're facing off against Tyreek Hill, who's not with the Chiefs anymore, and curious to see how he plays, and then curious to see how the defense plays against Tua, because that right now has been one of the biggest successes because they now have an offensive coach is a calling all the plays. But the other hard games is definitely going to be Tennessee and Denver because Tennessee, you saw what they did against Green Bay, and
Yep.
you saw what they did against the Chiefs. They did not allow a first down in the second half of that game, and that game went to overtime. So those are one of those matchups. I'm like, if I'm the Chargers, I would literally have to grind out every single game that's there in the remaining weeks, and you're not only fighting for your chances to at the very least have a winning record, but you're also fighting for your chances of other teams that are in the playoff bubble. Because of course, you and I both know we get so irritated at hearing this that New England is still considered in the playoff picture.
Yeah, definitely.
That's the part that I'm just like, for all of us, we really want them out. And that's why I'm like, for the Chargers, because again, with pressure on our shoulders, that's one of those things that they cannot allow to end up happening once again. And whether that, in the end of the day, it is a rivalry. And I understand that they would have loved to have seen the Raiders and Chargers be there. But at the same time, you can't really reason well sometimes when it comes to the opposing territory. You can't because both teams have goals to reach. And the Raiders already had they made that statement happen the second that they ended up beating the second time against the Chargers and making it into the playoffs. But this is where the Chargers, they've replayed this over and over and over again. And I don't think that has gone away on the back of their mind because
Look,
even
I
Justin
told you,
Herbert says he loves facing off against the Raiders.
going into the season, especially with all the signings that you guys made, everybody was like so hype. I know you were, but I told you, you guys better have your health insurance paid up. And look,
Yeah.
injury bug hits you guys like it does every single year. Look, we got guys on IR, guys that we paid big money on extensions that are on IR right now. That it's like, what the fuck? Why do we do this? We declined a 5th-year option on a running back who is now rushed for over 1,000 yards in 3 of his first 4 years in the league.
You need to pay that man. That man is really worth extending for real.
I don't get what they saw that made them make that decision. I don't care if you guys are thinking about his health, whatever. Look, yeah, he's dealing with a calf injury right now, but look, he's getting treatment throughout the week. He should be ready to play on Sunday. In regards to you guys going against the Broncos, look, everybody, every single year, they go into this shit. They have a great defense. They're a quarterback away from a Super Bowl. They got Russell Wilson, who once won a Super Bowl, and now that team has imploded. Like, Melvin Gordon fumbles against us for the second time this season. He gets cut. You have defensive players coming at Russell Wilson's neck on the sideline during the games. Their offense is abysmal right now. I think that realistically, you guys could have a good game against them and probably get a win from against them.
Well, and here's the other funny thing you could also note that the fact that a day ago it was Russell Wilson's birthday and only half the team showed. So that
Tone,
just
hold
tells
up. Tone, I was not. Josh Jacobs is one of my favorite players. At the same time, I understand that this is a business, but I'm a huge supporter and huge fan of Jacobs. I have been before he was even drafted by us. I was screaming from the mountaintops for us to draft him. I coined him as baby beast mode before we even drafted him. So please don't try to twist my words or make up some false narrative because I never said that.
Oh yeah. I mean, I like I said, I hope that the Raiders really do extend Josh Jacobs for real, because the fact of the matter is, when was the last time that they actually had a productive running back at that position? I mean, Lamont Jordan, Darren McFadden, like there's been guys that have been coming in and out, and then all of a sudden Josh Jacobs ends up showing himself off to the rest of the NFL, and he fits perfectly with this culture. And by the way, for some Raider fans, not all of them, but for some, that extending of Darren Waller was not a mistake. It was not a mistake because in the end, like outside of Travis Kelsey, Darren Waller is just as damn good. And he is really lethal when it comes to you need midfield catches and you need somebody that's going to, at the very least, um, give you those yardages, especially if you got a big target like Devontae Adams and you've got several other receivers that they can't seem to get open for Derek Carr. But I never saw that as a mistake at all. I thought that was a well deserved extension. It does suck that he had gotten injured and he's been dealing with this injury bug, but at the same time, it's not something that I could have completely put my head down on. I think part of that is you just have to work on retaining Josh Jacobs because that's a running back committee with him and Zamir White. Like that's going to be a really good running back tandem, not only in the division but even for the AFC itself. So
Look,
it's development.
I said it when everything happened and they declined the 5th-year option and it pained me to even talk about it knowing that he's one of my favorite players. But I said that when that move was made and they declined the 5th-year option on Josh Jacobs, that in regards to the draft and us drafting Zeus and Britton Brown, that those are supposed to be potentially the future featured backs of this organization. Now, watching Zeus earlier in the year, the very few touches that he had, and he was really averaging like 1 carry a game, it was either for loss of yards or a yard. And I was like, maybe he's not ready. Maybe maybe he doesn't have that vision that he had in college. But look, back-to-back plays on Sunday, 2 carries for 28 yards, great blocking up front, especially Alex Bars. I was highly impressed. Coming into the season with a 6 deep running back depth chart blew my fucking mind. If we can make something happen with Josh Jacobs, I would love for him and Zeus to be the featured backs. And again, Zeus potentially being the featured back of the future, but I would love to just see that 2-headed monster of Jacobs and Zeus on a consistent basis. But that's up to McDaniels and the rest of the organization. So we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Shout out to Brian Vieira. I didn't mean to miss that, but welcome to the vault and thank you for becoming a new subscriber. Those that are in here right now, if you haven't already, if it's your first time in here, please don't let it be your last. Hit that subscribe button. Shout out to Spicy Raiderette. Appreciate you for life, our Raider story. Make sure to check them out on YouTube as well. And of course, you don't have to be a Chargers fan to subscribe to my brother. Again, he covers the Oakland A's. He covers the Las Vegas Golden Knights. Please, please, please subscribe to my brother. The Snake Sports Talk Show on YouTube, please. Oh, shit. The Thought Bots are back. They haven't been in here in ages. Damn.
Yep, coming up in the clutch.
Damn, they're back.
But no, yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think one of the biggest things, like, from an outside perspective as well, looking at what the Raiders could potentially be next season, I think the biggest thing that has to be addressed, you've got to give Trayvon Merrick some help. Yeah, like that secondary really needs to be addressed. I mean, Jonathan Abram, look, I'll be honest, like we've talked about this several times. There could have been potential for him to be better, but I don't think there was going to be any way you could outcoach that enforcer mentality out of him.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing with Merrick, and I'm probably gonna get eviscerated when I say this, but like I kind of want to be the one to give him a hall pass for the time being. He's in his 2nd year in the league. This season, he's been dealing with a hip injury. Again, his 2nd year in the league, he's dealing with a totally different defensive coordinator, totally different defensive scheme. We've seen plenty of times where he shit the bed and people are wondering why and saying he needs to go. Now, going into last year's draft, he was not a guy that he was my 1B. Everybody knows I was screaming this one off the mountaintops as well. I wanted Javon Holland here. I love UT. I love Oregon, and of course my alma mater USF. But watching Holland and what he did for Oregon, I was like, this is going to be our guy. We have to have him, and we see what the fuck he's doing in Miami, and it blows my mind at times. But yeah, House Junkie said Averett needs to go. Well, fortunate for us, not really fortunate for him. Anthony Averett is now on the IR. I actually did want to bring this up since we are doing a matchup preview. There was an article out there today by Silver and Black Pride about 5 potential X factors against your LA Chargers. One of those guys is one that just got activated from the practice squad in replacement of Anthony Averett, and that's Tyler Hall. I think that he's not bad. His PFF grade is pretty solid. He's only participated in 50 snaps, 75.4 grade for PFF. He's been targeted 3 times. He allowed 2 receptions for only 6 yards. Look, he's doing his job. I look at a guy like Averett. No, it wasn't Averett. It was Sam Webb, who's a rookie, and people were telling me to give him a whole pass. He gave up 6 receptions 2 weeks ago for 106 yards. Like, dude was getting cooked play after play after play after play. Another guy that they're talking about as a potential X factor is Jerry Tillery. Look, I said what I said with him. He's been with us for 2 weeks now. He's just trying to get into the groove of things. I think that he may end up having his coming out party against his former teammates and maybe knock Herbert around a little bit as well. We have Nate Hobbs to consider as a potential X factor for the simple fact that we're hoping and assuming at this point, considering he wasn't on the injury report today, that he should be back and suited up for us. I'm very intrigued to see if he comes back and excited to see him play if he does. Zeus White, 2 carries, 28 yards against the Seahawks. Phenomenal running game. Phenomenal job out of him for the 2 carries that he had. I'm curious to see if we're going to see more of that this coming week.
All right. Well, I will tell you though, because it's always such a Raider thing when they always have to pick up former Chargers. Because now I wonder exactly how Jerry Tillery is really going to end up matching up against this team. Because even though, like, there were spurts where I thought Tillery was really going to end up adjusting, but this has kind of just been a long time coming for for him and for the Chargers, where I just don't think that Tillery was going to end up matching up well with just the defense itself. Um, but I do think hopefully that there will be some, there will at the very least, um, at least be good things for Jerry Tillery to come now being a part of the Raiders, and hopefully he succeeds. I mean, the fact that he was not able to figure out this type of defensive schematic under Brandon Staley and for Ronaldo Hill, um, I mean, I do know that there's going to be at the very least an entire coaching staff change. I can already see that coming, and the fact that Ronaldo Hill, that this defense, even with Khalil Mack and even with a lot of really good players, um, it really just has not been able to fulfill, not even to be a top 15 best defense, which I think is really has been the disappointment this year. But I think it'll be interesting. My X factors, honestly, too, when thinking of, against the Raiders, my X factors in the game, Gerald Everett. I think Gerald Everett could definitely be an X factor, especially with what we've seen with him being a threat in the red zone. That's a guy. Here's the funny thing: if Gerald Everett did not make that mistake play in Week 2 against the Chiefs, the Chargers could have won that game. They could have very easily have been able to push through and beat the Chiefs that week. But because he turned the other way around, because nobody paid attention and seeing that he was gassed. Somebody's got to bring him in. But at times, too, you've got to be able to push through a lot of those challenges. And so, seeing with what Gerald Everett really is, he's stepped up massively in this position that the Chargers have been waiting for. Because, first of all, Jared Cook was terrible. He was a complete disappointment last year, and Hunter Henry couldn't even stay out on the field. And now we're seeing Hunter Henry make plays now this time around for the Patriots. But it does tell you how terrible that the fact that these injuries could sometimes cost a lot of the team's potential. But Gerald Everett, I've really been enjoying and loving the signing when we got him, and he's been comfortable ever since in this offense. So I see him being an X factor. Um, I do see at some point. I think I mean, I do see Austin Eckler also being another X factor because of the fact of even if you're eliminating the run, you still can't stop him yards after catch. And those are times, and even somebody mentioned it up under the comments, when times where the Raiders would end up blitzing and trying to get into Justin Herbert's face, he's out there in the flats and just completely destroyed the Raiders from there. So there's going to be parts of that the Raiders cannot afford to let that happen. And then DeAndre Carter. I know a lot of people don't even pay attention to this kid a whole lot. And, I know kick returner, punt returner, yet he stepped up in a big way when all the stars were out for wide receiver. And he's come up in big spurts where, think about it this way. 2 years ago, when the Chargers ended up having Jalen Guyton and Tyron Johnson in several of those opportunities that Justin Herbert was able to throw to, like DeAndre Carter's reminded me of that. And I'm really surprised though too that the Chargers haven't reached out to Tyron Johnson, which is
Ugh.
insane to me. I was really like I was mind blown because I'm like, dude, this guy had a great preseason. I still understand why they had to cut him, but because we needed an extra receiver, and I said this over and over again. Even watching the trade deadline, I'm really, really disappointed of the fact that the Chargers were not even able to make a move. I mean, good God, call the Jets and get Denzel Mims for God's sake.
Shut up, Mimsy.
Like something there, because at the end of the day, the more Keenan Allen gets hurt, and the more that we kind of see him now, kind of coming up to his age where injuries are going to start to linger. Who's going to be our next bat? Who's going to be at the very least our future now? That's the kind of thing that I think about, and I love Keenan Allen to death, but there's only so much of time you have for him right now before he's just done. So they either really will address the wide receiver position either in the draft or potentially if Tom Telesco ends up working his magic and maybe goes and trades for at least a star-studded wide receiver for Tupac, CD, and Candy. I don't even know how he's going to be able to make that happen, but he's done it several times. So, but I do think DeAndre Carter and what he's been able to bring to the table, being that X factor when the Chargers really need him to be, he's been working out really, really well. And I've been more than impressed. Just, being a guy who's just been a normal kick and punt return guy. He's been exceptional when it comes to all our receivers are down, step up and make the plays happen and help Justin out. But I also do think an X factor, and I love saying this because you guys have definitely have dealt with him for years in your organization, and whoever said that man is washed, I don't want to hear that again, because you guys are definitely going to be having some serious Mac attacks this upcoming Sunday, because Khalil Mack, man, that first week against the Raiders, dude, he was feasting on Carr. And that's where I'm like, that was a statement game to remind Raider fans he is not washed. So I think Khalil Mack's going to be that kind of guy where he's going to want to apply pressure to Derek Carr, but it's going to be up to that offensive line of the Raiders of how that they're even going to handle that. But another one, it ain't Sebastian Joseph Day, by the way, but I think Morgan Fox is really starting to find his groove right now, and he's going to be another one that is going to be an absolute X factor on the pass rush as well on that front line.
Man, I can't believe you just said that about Mac. That's oh god. Oh god. Nobody ever said he's washed. Trade him for Jones. Yeah, we'll give you Chandler Jones for Khalil Mack.
Oh, hell no.
Come on.
I'm perfectly fine with this one.
Just imagine that would have been some scary shit if we had fucking Mac and Max on the edge. Jesus
You
Christ.
still but you could still imagine it. You still imagine it up to this point. It's just like, why in God's name did we have to trade Khalil Mack to the Chicago Bears?
Because we had a jackass head coach in John Gruden. And yeah, I'm not getting any further than that. But
The
I know
fact
you
that
said
he destroyed with exactly what Jack Del Rio built.
oh my god. I know you said you had to run, so bro, it's always a pleasure having you on. And we'll
Oh, but I
probably
do have my final score prediction, by the way.
oh shit. Go ahead.
Okay, so as usual with my prime prediction, and by the way, it took a hit last week. 7-8. Ouch. Now the fact that our winning streak and with as hot as these prime predictions have been, I'm looking for a big time bounce back. But I'm taking the Chargers -2 for anybody that's over that's big time betters, and especially me living in Vegas where it's bet city, it doesn't stop. I'm taking the Chargers -2. I love the fact that they put this line at 2 because they know how close this game is. The AFC West outside of, Denver and their bumpy ride with Russell Wilson, each of those games have actually been very entertaining. But I think looking at that previous matchup where the fact that Justin Herbert did not throw a pick in week 1 and scored 3 touchdowns and had a quarterback rating of 129. So that's going to be really something though with an offense that's poised. They've known exactly with how this the secondary of the Raiders is set. That's going to be my big time challenge there for the Raiders, what they have to do and where they have to set up against an offense like Justin Herbert and ensuring, because here's the other funny thing. I saw this where they were 1-23 in the last 3 seasons when it comes to close game matchups. They're 4-3 right now, and they've been coming back and winning games where there were deficits. So the script has been flipped. So I think they're starting to find that potential now. But like I said, I mentioned my X factors. I do think that this is a tougher road for the Raiders to even try to go on that so-called 6-game winning streak. It's not easy, but this is going to be one of those steps in that direction, and you have to take every situation play by play, and at the very least, get your first downs, get at least some open holes, and execute those situations and be aggressive when you need to be. But I'm taking the Chargers, and my final score 24-21. There's sparks of thunder that's going to come out of that giant Roomba, and we're probably going to collect all that silver and lac dust because that thing is it's on high wattage and it is perfect to clean up all that mess. So I'm going to be taking the Chargers 24-21.
I'm not giving a prediction score. All I'm gonna say is just win, baby. That's it. Jake, it's always a pleasure, bro. We're probably not going to be talking the rest of the week just because.
No, hey, I'm going to be checking up on you, bro, because I love you as a brother, and I want to make sure that you're at the very least alive and well, man.
Just alive and well, just so I could be in your wedding. Don't worry, we'll talk after when the clock strikes 0 in the fourth quarter. We'll talk, but the rest of the week, nah, cutting you off.
Of course.
I'll talk to you soon, brother.
All right, but hey, shout out to everybody up onto the black hole, by the way. Always is a great pleasure being along with you guys. And I did see a couple of good names up there. Halo Raider, what's up, brother? I know you missed me because you're always there seeing my stories, loving everything that me and the wifey do when we're traveling. So miss you, man. Like I said, when you guys are up in Vegas, you guys are always more than welcome to be here at the Casa, man, with you and the fam. Appreciate you always showing your love and support. And listen, you ain't got to just subscribe to me just because I'm a Charger fan, but I do bring a lot of great entertainment. And at the same time, I cover about all sports, and I'm honest, unbiased, and balanced of every single team of every major sport. And I mean, think about it. I'm excited to see exactly what Team USA is going to be bringing against Team Netherlands. That's not going to be easy. But
Ugh.
by the way, I'm feeling for a lot of Mexicans out there, man, because that was tough. That was just all out tough. Those if it was not for those offsides that took away 2 potential goals, Mexico could have finally had been in it. I feel for it. Like, honestly, my family, my heritage, because it's 5 generations, they're all Mexican. So
I got
I felt the pain. That was tough.
thinking about that now. I got to check on Andy and make sure he's good. I totally forgot
Yeah,
he was watching the World Cup. I got to go check on him and make sure he's okay.
yeah, but summing everything up, you guys love sports, you guys love entertainment, and you guys love doing stuff like this. And of course, everybody's got to be cheering up for when you hear the Snake Sports Talk show. You guys do not want to end up missing it, not this weekend, but the next weekend, because shout out to Ty Owens. There's our Queef's Kingdom in the building.
God help me.
Sorry, Ty, I had to do that for you, but I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you coming up. But that next weekend, former linebacker, and you guys will love this, of the Dolphins, Texans, and your Silver and Black Raiders, Marlon Greenwood will be on the show the next weekend on the 10th. You guys do not want to end up missing that once-in-a-lifetime interview as well. It's going to be fun stuff. Snake Sports Talk Show. You know where to find me. iHeartRadio, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram. Like, follow, subscribe, and hit the bell button for all latest notifications. And we're also live on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Prime as well, so you can catch it on the seat of your couches, on your front screen, watching the Snake Sports Talk Show. And who knows? Maybe you might still be seeing me by the time that we get into playoffs, but I'm going to leave that for the next 6 games. But definitely check out the Snake Sports Talk Show. Appreciate you guys. I'm going to say, hey, you know what? I definitely got more invitations, man. I'll definitely be sending you one right your way. Absolutely, bro.
We'll be talking soon, bro. Take care.
All right, take care, brother.
Later. All right. That was Jake, the Snake Sports Talk Show. Oh, God. I'm seriously not talking to him until after the game on Sunday. Oh, well. But let me bring in another guest right now. We didn't get the chance to chop it up this past Sunday. I feel like a redheaded stepchild as a result, but it is what it is. But give it up one time for my boy. You guys know him. He's up and coming on YouTube right now. And Sunday mornings during our weekly Stardom Sit-em and our game day show, he comes on with some prop bets for all you degenerate gamblers out there. Without any further ado, it's my boy, Planet Raiders, Big Mike Raider. What's good, bro?
Yo, what's up, man? What's going on, bro? Hey, nice.
Oh, we had a nice round of applause coming in here and everything.
Nice. Yeah, man. Shout out to Jake the Snake. Good, seems like a good guy, but yeah, I wouldn't talk to him for the rest of the week too, man.
We used to do a lot of content together with a former network, and I had the opportunity to finally meet in Vegas when we did our show for the draft. Great dude, solid dude. He's definitely got the fucking voice of a professional sports broadcaster. I don't know why he doesn't have a job in it yet. But
Yeah.
And fortunate enough, last week I was invited to we knew from the draft. We were talking it up at the draft, and he's like, "I want you in my wedding." I was like, "Holy shit. Say no more, I'll
Wow.
be there." So yeah.
That's
So
dope.
what's going on, bro?
Man, nothing much, man. You know, I was looking at these numbers between the Raiders and Chargers, and you know, the record doesn't really tell the story. You know, you look at both teams, and it's almost like you're looking at a mirror image of each other, as far as giving up points per game and scoring as well. One thing that they do that we don't is, actually we do it, but they do it a little bit better, is they get more yards per game in the pass, but they can't run worth a damn, man. They haven't ran the ball really at all this season, but we can. So to me, the records don't really tell where we're at as far as this game goes. I think it's really a 50-50 shot. And really when it comes down to is we got the home field advantage this time around. And I think that's going to make a big difference.
I hope so. I hope so, because we know, everybody knows this right now. A few years we've been in Vegas. At times it becomes a hostile takeover by the visiting teams. And, people don't have an issue driving or flying to fucking Vegas. So we'll see, man. We will see. I wish this week already for me has been dragging. I just wish it was Sunday already and I could be sitting and watching this game and seeing what's next for us, especially after these last 2 weeks and these overtime thrillers. Like the game against the Broncos, you guys saw I put the picture up. Like this team is going to be the death of me. And then last week, I'm watching the clock and I'm like, please don't tell me we're going to fucking tie against this team.
Yeah.
And out the gates and off to the races. There goes Josh Jacobs. I couldn't have been happier. Like it couldn't have happened to a better guy. And I'm just, we have this thing now. We have this thing going right now. It's called a winning streak. We haven't seen that in a very long time, and it feels good. Look, we've all been bipolar fans this season with all the ups and downs. I've said my pieces on things, and you guys know I'm not going to sit here sugarcoat shit. And I'll call players out when they're fucking up. Look, we now have a new weekly poll on YouTube, the I shit the bed loser of the week.
Yeah.
But again, nobody saw this being the way it is right now. Nobody saw us being a 4-7 team, and now it's like too little, too late. We're just fucking waking up. We still have 5 games left. 6 games left. I'm sorry. I want to see how the rest of this goes, and I'm going to take it 1 week at a time.
Yeah, man. Little bit of optimism here, man. We lost a lot of close games. And usually in those kind of situations, it's a 50-50 thing. It's a matter of one play or 2 plays that, could flip the other way. Now, if we got those, losses already out of our system as far as those 1 or 2 plays go, I like our chances to win down the line and win out. It doesn't seem too far-fetched to me looking at the schedule as well. I mean, everybody's, talking about the 49ers. We can take care of the 49ers. And, Josh McDaniels is familiar with Jimmy Garoppolo and what he can bring to the table. So, you got that. And then the Chiefs, well, you saw what we did with them in Arrowhead. They don't scare me on the road. They scare me more at home than they do on the road, to be honest with you. So, to me, I think that the Raiders are kind of trending up, and it feels good, man. It really does feel good to actually look forward to watching the Raiders on Sunday. We've been waiting like half the season for us to get excited about watching the Raiders. So yeah, you're right, man. I am definitely looking forward to Sunday, man. I definitely can't wait to see what they bring on Sunday.
I tried to get our brother Halo to pull up. He must be clanging and banging in the gym as usual. So
there you
maybe
go.
Another time. But there are some numbers here. I was just looking at this and some fun facts, some fun stats for a couple of our players right now. Starting off with Devontae.
Yep.
With 1 receiving yard, obviously, I told you guys before, he's a yard shy of 1,000. He'll have 1,000 yards in his 12th game, becoming his 4th career season with 1,000 yards since 2018, tied for the 2nd most in the NFL over that span. He would become only the 8th player in Raider history to reach 1,000 receiving yards in 11 games or less. The last person to do that was Art Powell in 1964.
Wow.
With 1 touchdown, he'll surpass Calvin Johnson for the 5th most receiving touchdowns by a player in his first 9 seasons in NFL history. He needs 4 touchdowns over the next 3 games to surpass Gronk's 86 for 5th most touchdowns in a player's first 130 career games. Wow. He would be 5th behind 4 Hall of Famers. I'm telling you, we have the elite of the elite. And look, whatever the situation is come this offseason, whether or not Carr is back or not, I really hope that Tay is here for the next couple of years without being a what people like to call most receivers divas, but I don't see Adams being that person. The one thing is now he is a very quiet person, or at least was a quiet person until he came here. And I have nothing against his attitude on the field and his aggression on the field. Like, look, I played with that same passion, that same energy when I was playing. I just saw the other day he had gotten fined. Apparently, he had some choice words for a ref in the Broncos game. Look, people have done it. I've done it. I've cursed out refs with no hesitation whatsoever. It is what it is. This and whatever it was, I can't remember. I know it was like probably in the 20s in regard to what he was fined, but like that's toilet paper for him. Like, come on.
It really is. But you know what? It's he's getting that good old Raiders treatment. You know, welcome to Las Vegas Raiders kind of deal. You're gonna get that treatment. If he was on the Packers, I doubt he gets that fine.
Facts.
I really do. And
Facts.
And you know what? It's crazy. You know, I really think about it. Like the team we have, we're looking at possible 1,500-yard rusher and a 1,500-yard receiver in one team. That is very likely.
It's fucking scary. It's
so scary. And who's going to want to see the Raiders if the Raiders end up winning out and going 10-7? Who's going to want to see them in the first round? If that's the case, if we get things rolling, you know, it's scary. It's really scary, especially at full strength. You got Waller, who decides he wants to play. If he even wants to play, I don't know what's going on with him. But if he decides he wants to ball out, and then you got Renfro in the slot, and you know he's acclimated, he's fully 100% healthy, along with Jacobs and Devontae doing their thing, Carr not making mistakes. Man, who's touching the Raiders right now? I mean, this is real honest. This is something that we've been talking about at the beginning of the season. And it's kind of coming full circle, this whole idea of it. And I think that towards the end of the season, if they went out, that what we were talking about at the beginning of the season becomes a reality.
We gotta wait and see, man. Like, again, I know they're already talking about Waller potentially like not being back come next Thursday night. And we all know it's a very, very short week as that happens. Oh shit, we have another guest in here, and I haven't had this dude in here in a very, 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 very long time. From the land down under.
Hey,
it's Afakasi. I'm gonna have to do it anyways. Aussie.
Wait. What's going on, gang?
How are you, brother?
Man, hey, nice to finally talk to you, man.
Sorry, pardon my ignorance. Can I ask who you are?
That's Big Mike.
Big Mike.
Oh, Big Mike. How you doing, Big Mike?
I've got a couple of your shows a couple times. It hasn't been many times, but yeah, finally nice to talk to you, bro.
Thank you for your support.
Man.
I appreciate it, man. Nice to meet you and chop it up with you on the live. So what's going on, gang? Salute to the chat. How are we all?
So we haven't had a chance to talk throughout the entire regular season. So I want to hear how you're feeling right now with the current state of the Raiders, and after these last two games, these crazy thrillers of wins. How are you feeling right now?
A lot better than I was 3 weeks ago. I mean, look, take it 1 week at a time, but we're starting to build some momentum, so that's something. I've never been on board of this tanking talk, and I don't understand why a lot of people aren't happy about the Raiders winning and voicing their displeasure about it. You know what I mean? That makes no sense to me. But you know, I'm feeling good going into the week coming up against the Chargers. We've got some momentum with 2 wins against the Broncos and a big win away against the Seahawks. And to see the scenes in the locker room was really good. There seems to be a lot more harmony than the noise was making it out to be come a couple of weeks ago, when it seemed like players were at each other, coaches and players were at each other. Rumblings of McDaniels had lost the locker room. You know what I mean? It seems to be coming together. I mean, a little bit late, but better late than never, right?
Yeah. Somebody in the chat earlier said that they think that Abrams played a part as being a cancer in the locker room, and all of a sudden this defense has turned around pretty decently over these last few weeks since he was gone. What do you think about that?
Look, unless you know you don't. You know what I mean? Like, I'm actually a big Abram fan. I liked him. I appreciated him. Yeah, he had his deficiencies, but they let him go. Once a Raider, always a Raider. But he's not on our roster anymore. And whether or not that's true, and whether or not that's played a part in the team starting to gel a little bit better on defense, I guess we'll never know. But yeah, I mean, it's good to see the defense starting to do some things and coming together a little bit better, and the offense too. The team as a whole. You know what I'm saying?
Mike, what are your thoughts on that with Abram?
I mean, the other question is, did he have that kind of impact in the locker room to kind of sway other people and kind of divide? I mean, if the answer is yes, then yeah, I would say that is a big move to get him out, and if that is the reason why things are changing, I say bravo, that was a solid move. But for me, I think that wasn't the case. I think that Jonathan Abram, he seemed to be like a positive guy. I don't know, that's what he shows, in front of the camera, and this is what he's shown in years prior. So, I mean, it's hard for me to say that that was the reason why the things weren't working out with the defense. It's hard for me to believe that, man. For me to be completely honest with you.
Give me 1 second. I'm just gonna grab something real quickly. You guys can chat it up real quick.
Can I just address a comment in the chat feed real quick? Just to your comments, Anthony. I see them. Look, I'm still not sold on Patrick Graham as our defensive coordinator yet, as I'm not with Josh McDaniels being our head coach. I've voiced my displeasure many times. But at the same time, look, they're making plays when it matters, and that's all that matters to me. We got the W the last 2 weeks, and that's the main thing, right? Just win, baby.
Yeah, I agree. And as far as Josh McDaniels goes, I'm not a fan. I'm still not a fan. We won 2 in a row. The verdict's still on the table as far as that goes. But we can't just be like, hey, let's fire the guy. We need that. We need some sort of stability. If we keep doing this revolving door of coaches, where are we going as far as a franchise, an organization? Then we become a clown show like everybody outside of the Raider Nation believes we are. So we got to have some continuity as far as head coaching, and even our defensive coaches. We got to have that, and we got to believe that they can bring wins to the table.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've gone on record on camera to say I wanted him gone a couple of weeks ago because the rumblings were that, I mean, not just for what he's produced on the field, the situational play calling to me had been atrocious, and the one that took the cake for me was that if the rumblings were true, he'd lost the locker room much like he did against Denver. Then yeah, I said I wanted him gone. However, I mean, he seems to be doing better the last couple of weeks. It's been good to see, and the harmony that I've seen in the videos of them celebrating together with the players and everyone. I'm willing to ride it out with him, see what happens. I mean, I don't want to be right about these things. I want to be proven wrong. You know what I mean?
Seeing the way that Derek Carr embraced with McDaniels after the game, I was just like, well, all this shit that people are talking right now and all these narratives that are being put out there, it's like they seem to be just fine right now. And I know a couple of weeks ago we watched a presser together. This is probably 2 weeks ago because I know I didn't do last week's. We heard one thing and I was just like, I wanted to throw up. Even when I actually I said the 3 words. I think if I say it now, I might end up throwing up. But
I know those words you're talking about, man.
They said 3 specific words, and I was just like, "Oh fuck!" I'm like, "This is going to be a long rest of the way." But
pardon my ignorance. What were those 3 words?
Trust. You know what, Mike? Say it because I just felt it. It was about to come up.
I got you, man. Trust the process.
Oh God! And for me, and I've said this when it comes to professional sports, there are 3 things that you do not say in professional sports because it just goes to show that your team is fucking purposely fucking losing for whatever reasons. Tanking, rebuild, and trust the process are 3 things I fucking hate to hear when it comes to professional sports and professional sports teams. My fucking stomach is turned now just saying this shit. It's as a fan, it's something you never want to fucking hear when it comes to your team.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it shouldn't. I guess it comes down to the expectation before the season started. I mean, we shouldn't be in a trust the process situation. We all expected that we'd be rolling all the way to the playoffs at the very least, and then some, hopefully, what looked like we were nosediving a couple weeks ago. It just wasn't good enough. But look, I'm not even going to go there. I mean, look, we've come off 2 weeks, 2 wins. We're starting to build some momentum, so I'm going to try and look positive, think positive.
Look, that's all we can do at this point. Like, we've had people, I'm still hearing people, yo, they're tanking. No, the fuck they're not. Like, stop with that shit already. Like, they're not tanking. Well, what about that play right there? And look at Josh McDaniels' face. He doesn't look happy that they did this the right way. Like, shut the fuck up.
Or if we tank, we can grab this player from the draft. Now we're going to miss out on this pick, and we can't pick that player.
I've said it. When it comes to the draft, especially in the first round is truly a land of uncertainty.
Yep.
You don't necessarily know, and I don't care what all these draft scouts and all these other guys, all these analysts say, Mel Kiper and all these other dudes, like, you don't know if they're necessarily ready for the next level. Like, look, we heard Justin Fields come into his rookie year, and in his first preseason game, he was like, "Oh, it seemed the league doesn't seem that fast to me." Fast forward a week later, someone knocked his dick in the dirt, and that was it. Like, okay, the league is pretty fast.
Yeah, I think we were the one that knocked him out too.
I think so. But it's like I've talked about this one, and it's still this is just going to be embedded in me until the dude's career is over. But like 2019. NFL draft, 4th overall pick. We took Cleve Farrell. Ed Oliver was on the board, man.
I mean, there's a long list of those, man.
That was my guy. Ed Oliver was my guy, and he is wreaking havoc on the interior line for the Buffalo Bills now. And I'm just like, this is the shit that I'm talking about. Like I said, I know it's a land of uncertainty, but like when it came to that draft, Cleve was not a guy on my radar at all. And I'm just like, what the fuck are we doing?
Do you remember that camera shot of that Raider fan who was like this on the, after he got just like, I think that was pretty much all of us,
Yeah, me too.
But look, for me, it's like, let's just take care of business and let the cards fall where they may, and then worry about the draft process once the season's finally over. I don't even look into mock drafts. I'm not even looking at draft picks or potential.
I've had people ask me already. I've had people ask me, and people asking about the quarterbacks and stuff. Like somebody asked about the kid from Florida the other day, and I'm like, to be quite honest, this is probably one of the first years, because I grew up, eat, sleep, play, watch football from the time I was 3 years old. Yeah. And I would watch college football religiously on Saturdays. Primarily, I would watch my schools. I'd watch Texas. I'd watch Oregon. But like this year was a year I only watched one full game this year, and that was the Texas and Oklahoma game. So like people like, what do you think about this one? What do you think about that one? I'm like, until the season's over, I'm not going to sit down and watch anything. I'll probably have to put some compilations together and really start to evaluate some of these guys more over guys that are guys that we should consider in drafting. I'm not going to go down a whole list of every Tom, Dick, and Harry in the book, but I'm going to eventually.
Guys, we're probably not even going to be in the vicinity of drafting anyway.
That's true. It's way too early to assess anybody these days.
Yeah, I'm not doing any of that right now. I might even have to wait. No, that's too far. I was going to say I'll wait until the combine, but that's way too far. Like I'll break down some stuff at some point, but people have constantly been asking me, especially over the last like 2-3 weeks. I'm not doing it yet. There's no need for me to. We still have games left. I want to finish out the rest of the season for me to truly evaluate at this point what we need. I have an idea of some of the things we need: a veteran right tackle, a solidified veteran right tackle. Yes. Maybe some more depth at the defensive tackle position, some corners. Absolutely. And we're going to have to get some new linebackers.
Yeah. I mean, free agency changes everything in regards of team needs and that, plus trades. I mean, look what happened last year. People were doing mock drafts with, picking with our round ones and round twos. Well, that all went out the window when we made trades for Devontae Adams. You know what I mean? So just wait. That's for me personally. Just wait.
That's the face right there.
I think I hurt Cleve's feelings.
The guy
there it is.
That's the guy's face.
I'm pretty sure when we drafted him, I pulled a Conor McGregor and just looked to my left and looked to my right and was like, "Who the fuck is that guy?" Like, I was just like, "What the fuck?" No.
I knew who he was.
Same thing with Leatherwood too.
He wasn't projected to go.
Oh my god, no! There was one person that had the best reaction to Leatherwood, and I'm not saying the name, but dude fucking jumped out of his chair. That's a reach. That's a reach. Like, no, it most definitely was. It most definitely was. But
is that Spotlight?
You know I at least I'm not the one sitting in the fucking war room making that fucking selection. Not my monkey, not my circus. Fuck that.
Man. Yeah, that's rough, man. That's rough. You know, but I'm gonna be honest with you, dude. I when we were losing, we were 2-7. Out of spite and anger, I did do some mock drafts. I started looking at college prospects, but I think that was just because I was upset. And then, they won the 2 in a row, and I'm like, all right, let me just play this season out and see where we're at the end. And then we can focus on that at the end of the season. I got a level head now that some winning is happening right now,
exactly.
to be honest with you.
Exactly, because my dumbass did it. I did one mock draft, and I'm just like, fuck am I doing this for right now? Like,
yeah, we were at the number 2 pick. I'm like, we're not picking at 2. There's no way.
What I said wasn't me knocking anybody who wants to go that route and look into mock drafts. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. I was only speaking for me personally. I don't look into that stuff until we're over, and I just let the cards fall where they may. So
it was definitely
take that as me.
No. It's all good, bro. Like, it was definitely for me, definitely the same as Big Mike. Like, it was definitely out of frustration because it's like me watching all these games, like religiously going to the same place, watching all these games, and for this shit to happen the way it did at times, I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, we can't catch a break right now. And I've said this to a lot of people, a lot of us, including myself, we put the cart ahead of the horse, man. Like, everybody was on this shit. Oh, we're Super Bowl bound. Da, 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 da. I didn't go that far.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go that far because I said we still need a D tackle. Yeah. We still need depth at the cornerback position. Those are my concerns going into the season. And fucking Sue wants to chase a ring. He decides to sign with the fucking Eagles 2 weeks ago. Linval Joseph, a day before Sue signed, he signed with the Eagles. I'm just like, you motherfucker. And now that the new one out there right now, the new free agent that everybody's talking about is OBJ. And for the record, boys and girls, we are not on OBJ's radar, so get it out of your heads and get it out of your heads quickly. He's supposed to meet with the Buffalo Bills this coming Friday. The Vikings were another team he was looking into, and a couple of the Chiefs, and there was 2 others, but we are not on that man's radar, so keep it out of your head, and if you have it in your head, take it out of your head real quick.
Why are we always the ones who get associated whenever there's a bigger name free agent on the market? It's like, oh, the Raiders are associated to this guy, or the Raiders are about to sign that guy. They're looking into it. It's like, I get sick of that, man.
Because we got a reactionary fan base that has a big presence on social media. So, it's easy for them to kind of, put that little tidbit out there and get some clickbait and traffic on their sites. So that's why they do it, because we bite on it. Everybody bites on it. So, they just use us in those kind of situations. It's funny that, you don't get like a small market or like a nobody team like the Jaguars getting the same kind of treatment. Like, oh, Jaguars are connected to so-and-so. That doesn't ever happen. It's always, it's the Raiders. It's always the Raiders. So, we got to, as a fan base, stop falling for the, the okie doke, because they're playing us every single year. Every single year we're associated with so-and-so, but it never happens.
It's just the way that it works for us. Like, the new hottest toy out in the market, we got to have them. Like, no matter what, we have to have them. Like, everybody was on the shit last year. We got to get Deshaun Watson. Like, no, we don't. And look, like
Russell Wilson.
Look at how that was in Denver. But you know what? I just realized, because I saw this yesterday, and I just was like, yo, these women are out of their minds for this. But Deshaun Watson, for those that don't know, Deshaun Watson has been reinstated. He will be starting this coming Sunday for his new team, the Cleveland Browns. and they are playing the Houston Texans in Houston.
Oh, wow.
And apparently 10 of his accusers are going to Energy Stadium and will be at the game. What? Hold up. Let's just put the sound effect up instead. You got your bag, and now you're going to go sit there and watch this dude that allegedly sexually assaulted you. You're going to go and sit and watch him play football. Fuck is wrong with y'all?
Man, Vince McMahon couldn't write a better script, man. Crazy, right?
At the same time, I mean,
it blows my mind.
It's very damning, like how many people have come out and said the same thing about Deshaun Watson. I mean, if it's one or two, it's just a case of, right, well, I'm not going to let the legal process. I'm not even going to look too much into it. But like when there's it was like 60, 70. I mean, come on. What's
funny is I was watching Law and Order SVU a couple of weeks ago, like one of the newest episodes. It was totally supposed to be based around Deshaun Watson, but they flipped it where it was a soccer player that did all this shit. I was like, I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, that's supposed to be Deshaun. What the fuck are they doing?
The characters depicted are fictional characters, this and that, right? Like
exactly. I'm like, yo, that was Deshaun. Shout out to the fly and wonderful Miss 10K herself, Queen Raider Red. Salute. Been a long time since you've been in one of my lives. So the original queen of the moderators, appreciate you pulling on up. Thank you so much. Funny enough, or not funny enough, but sadly enough, we're gonna wrap up. I gotta be up at the ass crack at dawn. The grind doesn't stop. I wish my IG was back because I could have showed you guys something from today from work. Work is just getting more and more exciting. I got to play with these professional like TV cameras and test them and everything. And I'm like, I just want to continue to learn more and more and more. But we did a live before when we talked about the hamstring injury with Darren Waller, right? And I was trying for the longest time to find something from a couple of years ago. So I'm going to show it to you guys real quick. If you guys are weak in the stomach, please turn away right now. These are some pictures of my hamstrings as I tore them a couple of years ago.
Oh, nice.
And one went down straight to the calf as well.
Yep.
Shit was not pretty, man. And look, I know it's not an excuse, and at the same time, I still question the training staff. I question Josh McDaniels for this. He played 8 snaps in the game against the Kansas City Chiefs, and he was done for the game. You waited an additional 5 weeks before you put this man on IR. Why? That doesn't add up, guys. That does not add up.
Yeah, you know what? For on the other side of that, right? You know, soft tissue injuries.
Feel better. Better.
Sure.
I just got over it a month ago. Rest. That's all I can tell you to do is rest.
Hydrate.
Feel better.
Hydrate.
Wilson.
Yeah, you know those soft tissue injuries though, like they're tricky. You know, on a week-to-week basis, you kind of have to evaluate him. And if he's not as injured as he thinks he is, then he's going to try to go out there trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. You know,
trust me, I learned from that the hard way. I had one season where I tore it or pulled it. I can't remember which one it was. I took off for several weeks. We got into the playoffs. I'm in pregame messing around, warming up, doing some field goals. Pop. That was it. So I get it. Like I said, I've encountered it. The hamstring is something very, very tricky. It's very hard to come back from. And I'll tell you another thing. It will fuck with your mental. When you're back on the field, it will make you think twice about doing things that you were doing before. It will make you think twice when you're cutting on routes, because you're always having the back of your mind. It could be that one wrong step that is going to fuck you up. And it does suck that this is what he's going through right now. Look, I've given him shit. I've given him shit plenty of times over this. But again, with this current situation right now, and there's some reports out there, I don't know how factual they are, but now he's failing to attend treatment sessions, this, that, and the third. I don't know how true that is. None of us really know how true that is, but it is what it is.
Yeah, man, it's unfortunate. Hopefully, his whatever's going on, it gets resolved. That's all I gotta say about that one, man.
I want him to come back, and when he does come back, I haven't lost faith with him. I still believe in Darren Waller. There was a reason why we gave him the money that we gave him, because at one time he was considered top 3 tight ends in the league. Yeah, hindsight's 50-50. We can look at it back at it now and say it wasn't good because it's not working out so far. But I'm hoping if and when he does come back, and I hope it's sooner rather than later, he starts cashing in those checks we paid him and start performing like the Darren Waller of old rather than what we saw earlier this season.
You're a patient man.
I haven't lost faith in him yet.
You're definitely a patient man. That's what I've learned from you today, man. You after those losses, you were still like hanging in there. You didn't do any mock drafts, and then with Darren Waller, you're still hanging in with him too. So, hey, salute to you for that one, man. Because it's
a fishing line, razor, thin thread, but I'm holding on.
Man, salute to you for that one, bro, for sure.
Mike, FKC, I appreciate you guys coming on. It's been a minute since I've had guests on, like front and center on a camera. So it's good to have guys where I can sit here, have nice, healthy conversation about football, and it doesn't get out of control, and everybody can talk without it becoming unorganized chaos. So I appreciate you guys so much, and definitely I would love to have you guys on again. Obviously, Mike, we have our weekly segment this coming Sunday when we do our fantasy start sit-em. For those that are in here that have not watched yet, Sunday mornings, I'm trying to figure out what time I'm going to do it this coming week, but Sunday mornings, we do live fantasy start sit-em. We do go through a quick walkthrough of our upcoming matchup. But for those that are still in your fantasy leagues, that are still hanging around trying to get those wins, there's people in the chat right now that can tell you, and Big Mike can attest to it as well.
Absolutely.
You guys ask your questions, and I give you picks, and a lot of these guys, 9 times out of 10, have fucking rose above the occasion. Like somebody the other day asked about Garrett Wilson. Somebody asked about, I think it was the Jets defense. The shit fucking came to fruition, man, and a lot of you guys ended up with some really good numbers with your team. So definitely pull up Sunday morning for our weekly start sit-em and our game day walkthrough. And FKC, again, it was a pleasure. Big Mike, definitely see you Sunday morning. Much love to you guys. Be safe, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right, man.
Later, guys.
Thanks for having me, bro.
Of course. All right, guys. We've done a total of, I think, 2.5 hours live today. I know a lot of you guys have been like, oh, you need to do more, da-da-da-da-da. My big bro's in the building. I would love for him to pull up, but I think he is at a Kings game. Who gives a shit? He's in the what is it, the Golden One? Something like that? The One Nugget Arena? Something like that. I don't know. Graf, I'm going to put this up real quick, and then we're going to roll out. If you want to pull up real quick, pull up, brother. And if not, if he doesn't pull up in like 3 minutes, then I'm gonna head out. Like I said, we've done 2.5 hours. Shout out to Jake on the like. It was a pleasure having him on as well, and being able to have a Charger fan, a Charger content creator come on and break down this the upcoming matchup that we have this coming Sunday. And like I said, a lot of you guys have been asking, hey, why don't you go on a little bit longer? If I have the right people, the right guests to come on, shoot the shit, and have good conversation, I'm going to do it. If I'm not going to be doing lives, I'll be doing pre-recordeds. I did a really good pre-recorded on our matchup preview last week, and I was very happy with the views from it. And even today, we got a lot of new subscribers. I think we had like almost 20 new subscribers total between the live I did earlier and this live. It sucks that Tay wasn't there for the presser today, but I think it was the second time it's happened. The other time was when he had the illness. So I sent the link. I don't think he's going to pull up tonight. It's all good. I appreciate everybody, though. Again, Big Mike, Afkasi, Jake, the nation as a whole, man. I love you guys. Continue to spread the word. I didn't mention it on this live. Became a brand ambassador for SeatGeek. So for those that getting your Raider tickets or any other type of events, if you're using SeatGeek for the very first time, use the promo code Hammers.House, all caps, one word, $20 off your first purchase on SeatGeek. Also, my Instagram is currently locked. I don't know if we're going to be getting it back. I'm praying to God that we do. We had 2,300 followers on there, and we were putting up a lot of good stuff. We even put up some of the game highlights from this past Sunday's game, but I'm hoping that this gets back up and running sometime soon. But with that being said, I'm going to head out, y'all. Continue to stay safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. COVID is still around, clearly, and it sucks. Remember to wash your hands and your asses. And as always, win, lose, or tie, Raider Nation till I die. Till next time, y'all. We out.